This is a cool house.
Yeah, it's my grandpa's allotment. Whenever I come out here, I like to put down some tobacco and say a prayer for my Misho and my ancestors.
In school they teach us that tobacco is bad, but yet we give it to people and pray with it as a sign of respect.
Our Indian tobacco we grow doesn't have all those chemicals. Let's listen to Elder Lillian Rice talk about the difference between commercial tobacco and Indian tobacco, known as Ninsama.
They started growing processed tobacco. It became different. It became with great big leaves. When I traveled down south, I saw some tobacco farms, and man, those leaves are big. You know, here, my husband used to say, if that leaf is that big, it's full grown, you know. And when I look at the tobacco leaves, oh my gosh, you know, they're humongous. And, you know, and it's the things that they put in the tobacco. You know, why do they have so many different flavors? You know, you got mild, you got strong, you got, you know, all different flavors of Marlboro cigarettes, and a long time ago we didn't.
I'd like to show you some commercial tobacco that is currently produced on tobacco farms both in Canada and the United States. This is the tobacco that is dried and has many chemicals in it for preservatives. Those are the chemicals that really destroy you on the inside of your lungs. They destroy your esophagus, and they destroy your ability to carry out your most sacred duties for the Creator because they cut your life short.
It's okay to offer someone store-bought tobacco, but if you have Ninsama or Indian tobacco, it's better. They say when you pray with Indian tobacco, it's a more powerful prayer.
So why tobacco? Why not give someone a beaded bracelet or a blanket as a sign of respect?
Well, grandson, that's a good question. In fact, we often give other items to folks, such as a Pendleton blanket, a box of food, along with tobacco and other gifts, when we make a real serious request of someone. We have many occasions to give things away and be thankful.
Oh, that's cool, Grandpa. It's good we Potawatomi take care of each other. So when should we use tobacco?
An elder once told me that tobacco should precede all things.
When we were given seed, we were instructed to plant a tobacco in a clean place, in a special place, and we protect it because it is sacred. Tobacco we had was pure, and it was kept clean. It was dried in the sun. If I wanted to come and ask you for a special favor, you know, I would get a little bundle of tobacco and maybe a gift, something, and bring it to you and ask you, would you come and do that for me? When I listened to the elders, listened to my uncle, listened to other elders, they always talked about tobacco first. We offer tobacco first, whether it's in a pipe or through the fire.
Do you remember when we talked about the medicine wheel and the tobacco was in the east? We always start from the east and go clockwise when we pray.
Yeah, I remember that. So how much do we use when we pray, and how should we do it?
You only need a pinch of tobacco. The elders told me to hold the tobacco in my left hand because there is a vein in your left hand which runs directly to your heart. I was also told to only think good thoughts when you're holding that tobacco. Whatever thoughts or feelings you're having go into that tobacco. Let me tell you the story of the origin of tobacco. Benoe and the Potawatomi still lived on the ocean in the east and close to their grandfathers, the Delaware. An old man had a dream that something extraordinary would grow in his garden, which was in a clearing he had made nearby. In his dream, he was warned never to let any woman approach his farm, so he cut down the trees so they fell over the stumps and made a natural fence. The people of his village grew to suspect that something was going on, but they could see nothing. His uncles and nephews teased him about his garden and asked him how he expected a crop of anything when he had planted no seed. They teased him so much that he became angry, and when everyone else went on the summer hunt in July, the old man stayed at his home to tend his field. At length, plants sprang up in his garden, even though he had not planted anything. The old man did not know what to call the plant, but he hoed it well, and it grew up strong and thick. At last a neighboring Delaware came to visit him, and he showed his friend what he had, and explained that it had come as a result of a vision sent by the Great Spirit. My people have this sacred herb also. One of our number also dreamed of it the same as you did. How do you use it? Asked the Potawatomi. The Delaware answered, My grandson, if this was a gift to you from the Great Spirit, you ought to know. You should be shown by the Great Spirit how to use it. But if that doesn't happen by fall, come to me and I will show you how we use ours. The old man was more puzzled than ever, so he decided to fast and see if the Great Spirit would tell him what he wanted to know. When he had gone without food for 2 days, the Great Spirit appeared to him and told him to gather the leaves and dry them to pray with, to burn in the fire as incense, and to smoke in his pipe. He was told that tobacco should be the main offering at every feast and sacrifice. After he had had this dream, the old man went to a place near the sea where there was a hill of soft black stone. He broke off a long rectangular piece and started to make a pipe. It was very hard to make, and when he saw his Delaware friend, he asked him for help. Then they made a pipe stand out of wood. By this time, the Delaware saw that his Potawatomi friend had learned the use of tobacco, so he took out his own pipe, filled it with tobacco from his pouch, lighted it, and passed it to his Potawatomi friend. The Potawatomi man laughed and said, I intend to smoke, but I certainly did not understand before. The Potawatomi man had his wife sew a buckskin wrapper around the stem and make him a tobacco pouch. Then he harvested and dried his tobacco. When the hunters returned from the hunt, the people all went over to see what had grown in the mysterious garden. They were surprised at the peculiar appearance and the strong taste of the broadleafs. No one knew what to call it. The old man soon saw the people had been taking the leaves from the garden, and he asked the leader of the village to keep them out. So the chief walked all around the village himself and asked the people must keep out of the garden and respect its owner on account of his age. Wait until he is ready to tell us about it, he ordered. One day the old man gave a feast and seated the chief on his left. He said, I'm glad that you all have been quiet about my garden and have listened to my wishes. You all know that it was impossible for me to make this herb, and that it is a gift from the Creator because I did not plant it. We all believe what is given to us in our dreams, and this was given to me in a dream. I dreamed that something was going to grow where I had burned and cleared the earth for a garden. So I fenced it off as though something sacred was there. That was to keep the women away, because you know they usually tend for the gardens. I fasted for another vision to know how to use this plant, and then asked the Great Spirit, and he told me how to use this herb in sacrifice, and to place it in the fire and smoke it. I give this feast in honor of this new blessing that is to be with us now for the rest of our lives. The chief now stood upon his feet and thanked the old man for being so faithful to his dreams. He said, My people always think of this man, Wakshay the Fox of the Fox clan, who got this for us. Now I will burn the tobacco and we will all pray for him. He brought it here and he will divide it amongst you. I want you all to take it and use it whenever you go hunting. Put it in the fire and tell our grandfather the fire where you are going and for how long. Never leave without telling our grandfather these things, and pray to the Great Spirit. The assembled people all rejoiced and thanked the old man Fox. Everyone had heard that the Delaware had such a sacred herb, but no one knew what it was until now, when it was given to Fox to pass on to all the Indians. Fox rose once more and said that he would distribute the seeds to everyone, and that they were to plant them far off where women would not come. They were also to set up a pole which would stand as a warning for women to keep away. Cedar leaves were burned and food was blessed by the chief, and all ate the feast, thanking the Great Spirit that tobacco had come to them. When they had finished, a man stood up and said that he thanked the Great Spirit, and each person went over and squatted by the fire and burned tobacco and prayed to the Great Spirit. When this was over, they all thanked Fox again and rejoiced over the coming of the tobacco. Then Fox took his tobacco bag and filled and lighted his stone pipe and said, This stone pipe I copied from that used by our grandfather the Delaware. I have mixed the tobacco with some dried sumac leaves just as he does. He passed the pipe for all of us to see and smoke. It was only a few days before everyone had made a similar one of wood or stone. From that time on, the Indians smoked as part of their prayers.
Wataya, that's a good story, Grandpa. Do you really believe in praying with tobacco?
I can only talk from my own experiences. There was a tornado several years back coming straight at the housing addition we live in. I put my tobacco down and prayed for the tornado to go around us, and only give us health and safety.
So what happened?
The tornado came right into our complex and took a sharp northern path and missed our house by maybe 100 yards. Unfortunately, the tornado didn't spare the rest of the neighborhood.
Watea.
Watea.
In the story it says to put tobacco in the fire. What if I don't have a fire?
If you are having a ceremony and have a fire lit, you can put it there, or you can put it on the north side of a tree, or just on the ground out of people's path.
What do you mean out of people's paths?
Well, you don't want people walking all over your prayers. We have always been a very thankful and humble people, Nui. People will put down tobacco when a storm comes in, if they are crossing a large body of water, if they are picking medicine, starting a ceremony, before they start a traditional fire, when they pray, if they're making a request of someone, such as asking for a traditional teaching or getting an Indian name, and before they go on a journey. A person is often also given a pouch of tobacco when they go away to war, to protect our warriors and bring them home. I remember one time when I was just learning some of our ways. I was at a gathering of Potawatomi people and a storm started blowing in. These old ladies ran real quick, got their tobacco, and put some in the lake. I remember thinking at the time, that's rather odd. That evening I wish I had put down some tobacco. That storm blew in and blew my tent away. I ended up sleeping in my car, and the tent ended up in a tree. I learned my lesson that day, Nui. Now I always put my tobacco down.
It's okay to pray with tobacco anytime though, right?
Absolutely, Nui.
Can we say a prayer together, Grandpa? I've been learning that prayer on the online language course.
Sure, Nui. Miigwech mamogosnan, jak shigago gagistoyen, mina minogishget, ewi dodaskiego, minok madzoen, mina jitmoen, mteno il, nachmoyan.